Hey all y'all, it's Jocelyn here, and welcome back to the Queer Ass Trailer Trash channel. Today I'm going to do a little video about how to do up all your garden beds and get them ready and get some plants in the ground. Call that transplanting. Yeah, and so I did all of my seedlings up in the last video, and now they are ready to go into the garden proper because the weather has gotten nice enough. So I'm gonna get that done today, and I'll go over a couple little things first off. As far as garden prep, I'm gonna just get out of the shot here and take you on a little show and tell. Here we are. We have garden beds ready for planting. This one here I have yet to finish up because I wanted to show all of y'all how I go about it. This bed here, we have already got some amendments thrown down. I have lime sprinkled on the top. It's about like a yogurt container, 750 gram tub, maybe a little tiny bit more, sprinkled on over top of a bunch of compost that I procured from the local hardware store. And I got it by the half yard in my truck, so it was only 40 bucks, and that half yard did pretty much my whole garden. Goes a long way. I guess as far as how much I use in each bed, it's about a heaping spadeful per foot. These beds are like 3 foot wide, 4 foot wide tops. So that's roughly my rule of dispersal. And you can add other things too, like rock phosphate. If you got carrots going in, they appreciate a little more phosphorus. And oh, look, we already have little butterflies kicking around. Are you a baby looper? I don't know. I have enemies here. And I'll be putting Rime over top of my seedlings because we have what are called cabbage moths, and they like to lay their eggs on top of baby kales and cabbages and all of the other goodies that are my favorite. And then their little green caterpillars eat everything and poop all over it, making it extra gross. So I'm gonna throw some Rime on top. I'll show you how that's done too. Just to give them a little bit of extra protection so that they're not dealing from slugs from below and caterpillars drop from above. And they're looking pretty healthy. It's a bit of a cold snap when I first had them in the greenhouse, and they weren't super stoked on that, but they're good now. Happy nom noms. I got my whole garden set up with drip irrigation. I was lazy, I didn't disconnect it. I just kind of pulled it over to the side. If there's leaks, I'll repair it. Nothing that a wrap or two of electrical tape can't fix. And here are my favorite tools. This is my cultivator. And this cultivator, before I knew what a cultivator was a sad time in my life. This here is my preferred method of mixing in the soil because it's kind of like a pitchfork, except you don't have to lean over so much. So I like that a lot. And then we got our classic finishing rake, and that's what I use to get things all well and goodly leveled after I use the cultivator to mix it all in. Now, I don't mean to treat y'all out there in internet land like a bunch of idiots, but I will give you a couple tips on how to work with some of these here lawn tools, just to maybe save your back a little bit, because I've been doing this a long time and I have a lot of pain in my back, and so this is how I go about things to try and keep it from being too horrible at the end of the day. One of them being using this cultivator instead of a fork or something where you have to, it's a lot. But you get one of these, you can kind of get your squat on, pull your pants up, give yourself full articulation, you know, and get low, and then you can use this. And thankfully my soil is fairly fluffy. I'm not having to break it too much. This is not my first year of gardening with this dirt, so it's been broken several times. I don't need to do a whole lot of tilling no more. But with this cultivator, even if this was a lot harder, I just kind of throw it in there and you can break it up like that. This is good for actually taking out sod too. You kind of just throw it in there and it'll rip up a big chunk. I like to kind of start in the middle and then work my way outwards. You know, push it back in, do it again. Trying to remember, keep my back straight so I'm not just getting a pinched nerve or nothing. The old lower back. And kind of fluffing it in, you know, working it forward, working it in. Oh, missed that potato from last year. How about that? Oh, wireworms. No. You was in on that potato, weren't you? Nasty bugs. Nasty. Now, got that all nice and thoroughly messed up. Get the old finishing rake. It's definitely seen better days, but ain't broke yet. Knock on wood. Just drag that around until we get kind of some semblance of smoothness. And at the very end, I like to flip my rake upside down. Just go over it one last time for my own anal retentive need for perfection. There we go, it looks good enough. As I have decided what is going in here, I am ready to begin plotting my planting. We're going to work with some cabbages and some broccoli in here, and that means I am going to go with the 18-inch measuring stick that I just cut for myself. Make life easy. And this is a 2-foot, and I'm going to kind of try and keep them roughly 2 feet apart and 18 inches distant laterally, depending on how I feel and how this all works out. Might be able to get one in the middle there too, if I plant towards the edges. I've got quite a bit of compost in here, and I feel like that won't be overstressing things too much. But also, if you wanted to just get really big cabbages or really big broccolis, just don't put in a central row. You'll get fewer individual pieces, but you will get more monstrous fruits from your labor. Just a personal preference, I guess. Let's begin. Well, I got everything laid out now. I decided to go with just 2 rows. If this was kale or something, I might throw one in the middle there. But I want some nice, substantial size heads of fruit here, and I got the room to play with, so I'm not going to cram them in too tight together. But while I was off camera there, I wrestled my hose out and I watered in all of the holes and the spacing, and I made sure that each of the seedlings got a good drink too before I popped them out of their containers. That's a good way to make life a lot easier on yourself. They really just fall out without any sort of struggle if they're nice and wet. And that also helps reduce your transplant shock. And that's very important. Water, water, water. Can't really go too hard on it at this point in time. After I did my initial transplant from the little tiny cell to the larger cell, they did definitely show some signs of irritation, but they bounce back. So don't stress if your seedlings ever look like shit, because seedlings often just look like shit. And just kind of leave them alone, make sure they got water, but don't stress too much. They'll come around most of the time. If not, there's always the store, and you can just go buy some and try again next year. Because, you know, it's a learning process, and sometimes it's a painful one, but you just gotta keep going. Anyway, got my hole, got my water, everything's watered. Take my little baby cabbage, pop it out. That's my cardinal sin. Put these in the middle, and then you don't crush them, and then you can actually reuse them instead of having just a whole bunch of crushed little containers lying around. Anyway, got some nice root development. Nothing's too root bound. It's a good time to be planting them. They aren't showing any signs of stress. And this one because it's pretty perky, I'm going to put it in basically at level with the surface of the soil. But any of these, like this guy here, that's showing a little bit of floopiness, I'm going to bury that until just this top pit is popping out of the ground. This doesn't matter if you stick it deeper than here when you're planting, because that'll support it and allow it to grow up nice and sturdy and strong without just kind of lying on the ground, and then they end up with these weird twisted stalks, and the fruit can end up lying on the ground and making it more prone to rot also. Fruit as in the cabbage. You know what I'm talking about, right, internet? You're not stupid. Anyway, so just easy peasy, make a little dirt pocket around your new seedling so that when you're watering it in, it'll just hold, create a little pool with the water sink in nice, and that's about all there is to it, really. Just go on down the line, keep at it, and just, you know, do the tree planter stab. Not that I know, I'm not actually a tree planter, never have been. Always seemed like a hard and terrible job, you know? And after getting these all neatly tucked into their new beds, I grab my handy little hose here, set it to shower, and go around and we water all these in. Fill up the little pool that you made around each of the plants. Make sure that well and thoroughly drenched. This settles the soil around the plants. Make sure that you don't have any air pockets in there. Looking good. Alright, I'm pretty comfortable with calling that done. There's one final thing that I want to do before calling this bed complete, and that is to throw some row cover down over top these fresh babies, because it has a few different purposes. A, it will keep any sort of UV burn from occurring over the next little bit as they just came out the greenhouse. Regularly, I would harden these off by kind of taking them out into the full sun for like 3, then 6, then 8. Well, 3, 6, and then I'd plant them, I guess, just to expose them gradually to the full strength of the sun. But it's a gray and rainy week, and I am going to be throwing this row cover over them, and water will get through if it rains, so you don't have to worry about that. They can breathe, but it will also keep those cabbage moths from laying their eggs and having their caterpillars destroy these. And it will, thirdly, keep my cat, hopefully, from using my freshly tilled garden bed as a litter box. That's my first year with a cat out here, so I'm gonna try a few different defense mechanisms because she really just loves going poo in my garden, and that's not gonna suffice, especially for my carrots and my beets and things. Anyway, just gonna measure it out first. Now, I accidentally bought the 3-foot roll, and I'm not sure it's gonna be wide enough. We'll see. gonna declare that good enough fish for now. Need to get some more rocks. Hold this down a few more points. But I feel like it'll do. And there you have it. That is transplanting transplained with Jocelyn. So hope y'all have a good day and you enjoy some time in the garden hopefully this week. Until the next time I make one of these doodles, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and stay rad. Ding!